Here is a map from NASA depicting the density of vegetation in New York City. Here we have a temperature map. Looking at these together, we can see the correlation between increased vegetation and cooler temperatures. A concrete jungle, New York City clearly suffers from heat island effect. Moving into our analysis, we found open spaces make up nearly 20% of Manhattan. Of these spaces, an overwhelming majority is green space, with a small amount of gray space. These open spaces range from small strips to 840 acres of Central Park. We have grouped these spaces into 4 categories to study: vegetation, recreational, urban development, and the unbuilt environment. Examples of vegetation include softscape medians, tree-lined streets, urban gardens, cemeteries, community gardens, and public parks. Examples of recreational spaces include sports fields and courts, swimming pools, tracks, skate parks, picnic areas, and playgrounds. Examples of urban development include private open spaces or courtyards, such as landscaping for churches, residences, educational facilities, and more. Examples of unbuilt spaces include parking and vacant lots, as well as areas left underutilized as a result of infrastructure such as overpasses. We then organize these open spaces by size and scale: micro serving the block and macro serving the community. We define microspaces as being smaller than a block as defined by New York City's grid. Examples of microspaces are small lots and residential yards. Microspaces are often a mixture of public and private areas such as stoops or community gardens. Microspaces are often small escapes, whereas macrospaces require further travel. Larger than a block, macrospaces are often fenced enclosures belonging to private organizations. These can be found in the form of apartment complexes, schools, and institutions. Serving the community rather than individual groups, large parks provide public access to open spaces. When people walk through 125th Street, they experience 4 spatial feelings: open space with fences, open spaces between 2 buildings, street plaza, and unused open space under the bridge. None of these spaces are entirely green spaces for the public to enter. Then there's Broadway, near the Hudson River, where the open spaces along the street is mostly owned by institutions and schools, similarly fenced off, and even parking along the street is rare. Many vehicles have to park under the viaduct. The waterfront disconnect can also be seen in the topography. Unsurprisingly, the heightened elevations align with the park locations. The topography also makes Manhattanville vulnerable to flooding as well as future sea level rise. In conclusion, Manhattanville is comprised of a variety of open spaces, both large and small, public and private, popular and underoccupied. In particular, we find that there are unique opportunities along the waterfront to repair the park disconnect. Through repurposed lots, micro and macro spaces can work in combination to revitalize Manhattanville into a resilient community.